Most plantar fasciitis videos start with a stretch, but if you've had this before, you already know a stretch doesn't fix it. It might feel better for a few minutes, but it never solves the real problem. That sharp pain in your heel, that tight, aching fascia under your foot, it's not a flexibility issue. It's a load tolerance problem. And today I'm going to show you how to fix it by training your feet the same way we train everything else, with strength. This isn't a warm-up, this isn't a rehab routine. These are movement pattern variations you'll actually use inside your workouts to retrain your fascia and build foot strength that holds up in the real world. You'll see exactly how to do it and what to swap into your next leg day. Let's talk about why this keeps coming back. You stretched, you iced, maybe even tried orthotics, and maybe it helped for a week. But then you go right back to training and boom, same pain, same spot. Here's why. The plantar fascia is not a muscle. It doesn't need to relax. It's a dense connective tissue, part of the same fascial chain as your Achilles, calves, and hamstrings. Its job isn't to contract. It's to store elastic energy and manage force as you move from heel strike to toe off. And when you don't load it properly, when your foot collapses or your stride is off, it takes too much tension at the wrong time. That's how micro tears start. That's why you wake up with that stabbing pain in the morning. And that's why stretching doesn't fix it. In fact, most of the studies on plantar fasciitis point to a much deeper issue: lack of strength at length. One randomized trial in Foot and Ankle International found that eccentric loading of the plantar flexors, especially the soleus, was more effective than stretching for long-term pain reduction and return to activity. Why? Because load builds tolerance. That's what we're going to focus on next. How to train foot and fascia strength within the patterns you're already doing. Here's the good news. You don't need a separate rehab routine. You can fix plantar fasciitis by upgrading how you train the movements you're already doing. Squats, hinges, lunges, even your pushes and pulls. Think of your fascia like a suspension bridge. It doesn't just need relief. It needs to be loaded, reinforced, and trained under tension. So instead of adding corrective exercises on the side, we build those corrections into the movement patterns themselves. Want stronger arches? Try heel elevated goblet squat with active toe tension. Want to train foot control through range? Swap your hinge day for a single leg RDL on a foam pad. Want to fix the overload heel strike phase? Use toe elevated isometric lunges to rebuild mid-stance strength. These are not band-aids. These are biomechanical upgrades, and over time, they rebuild what your fascia actually needs: strength at long length with control. All right, let's break down the key movement variations that build foot strength and retrain your plantar fascia. No, you're not going to see any toe yoga drills. These are real exercises adapted to fix the problem while you train. And we'll start with the one most people get wrong: the squat. First, a heel elevated goblet squat with toe tension. In most squats, your foot collapses and the arch gets passive. But if you elevate the heel slightly and actively grip the ground with your toes, you create tension across the fascia and build strength through the arch. Cue yourself to claw the ground as you lower and keep pressure evenly distributed through all 5 toes. Second, a single leg RDL on a foam pad. This is one of the most underrated tools for plantar fasciitis. By standing on a foam pad, the foot is forced to stabilize in all directions. And because you're hinging, you're loading the posterior chain and stretching the plantar fascia under tension. Keep that working foot centered, grip the pad with the ball of the foot, and heel evenly. Make sure you control the descent. This isn't a balancing act, it's a loading drill. So use something to help your balance if you need. Third, a slant board split squat. Slant board split squats shift the load forward, stretching the fascia through the foot and ankle while you eccentrically train the quad and calf. You need to use a slow 3-0-1 tempo and pause at the bottom. Think knees forward, heel grounded, arch active. If your heel is peeling up or your arch is collapsing, reduce the range and rebuild control. Fourth, a toe elevated isometric lunge. Now let's isolate the most overloaded phase in plantar fasciitis: mid stance. This position When your foot is flat and loaded is where the fascia takes peak tension. By elevating the toes and holding a deep lunge, you train the fascia to tolerate length and load. Keep your front heel heavy. Your glute, calf, and foot arch should all be engaged. Start with 20 to 30 second holds. Fifth, barefoot sled push or incline walk. Once symptoms are down, this is your progression into dynamic gait. Sled pushes and incline walks train controlled propulsion, especially the toe-off phase where the plantar fascia recoils. Ditch your shoes if you can for these, go barefoot or use minimalist footwear. Focus on driving through the big toe without collapsing the arch. Start slow and short, let the fascia adapt before layering in more speed or load. You don't need to do all of these in one workout. Just swap one of them in where it fits. Hinge day, leg day, or even low load recovery. The key is to train the fascia like you would train any other structure, with progressive overload and smart variation. Here's the bottom line. Plantar fasciitis gets worse when you avoid movement, but better when you load it right. The real fix isn't found in a stretch or in an ice pack. It's built rep by rep inside the way you squat, hinge, lunge, and walk. This isn't a foot rehab plan. It's a blueprint for better movement. And if you want more solutions like this, smart, biomechanically sound, built into real training, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Your fascia will thank you later.